Hey guys, my name's Albert and welcome to our Lead the Charge video series. Join me as I chat to industry experts from the EV sector as we cover topics such as leasing, charging, EV accreditations and much more. Now sit back, relax, and hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have learned at least one thing you can take away. Well, hey Joseph, thank you so much for joining us on our Lead the Charge video series. If we could just start off by sharing a little bit about yourself, a little bit about what you do, and how you come into the world of EV.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I guess, so to start with, I'm a assistant program manager at Energy Saving Trust in the transport team. And I work on various transport related projects with EVs being one of the main things I look at. I have my background, I have a master's in civil and environmental engineering. And I did various transport modules, which kind of led me to that. And then I did a PhD afterwards in, it was on connected autonomous and electric vehicles in rural areas, which was interesting. And that kind of led me into working out how we can get more, electric vehicles into rural areas and across the country as well. So before this, I was never really interested in cars at all until electric vehicles came along. So I remember the Renault Zoe and the Model S and the BMW i3 were kind of the three ones that made me think, this is an interesting area of transport to be in at the moment. And yeah, just kind of went from there really. I've tried to keep track of all the vehicles that have come along. There's so many these days that, it's hard to keep track.
Yeah, you make me feel somewhat inferior. Literally, it's incredible. I mean, to have that knowledge and have that background and that understanding that you got from doing your master's and your PhD, it's incredible. And, similar story for myself, had no interest in electric vehicles. Had no interest in cars whatsoever. Wasn't one of these people that loved the loud, noisy cars, boy racer. I didn't really care about cars until actually I saw a Tesla. I was like, I want one of those cars. I went and worked for Tesla, come from Apple, really joined Tesla for the technology side of the world more than the cars. So, fully understand that. And it's funny how more people joining the industry who have that same approach. I wasn't really massively into cars. And, EVs have come in and I think it's changed so much of the way we view vehicles and the way we view transport. What's your real motivator when it comes to promoting electric vehicles and energy saving trusts? Like, what's your motivation behind that and why you do what you do?
Sure. Yeah. So I think my views and values kind of align with Energy Saving Trust. So Energy Saving Trust is an independent organization that's working to address the climate emergency very broadly, and that's kind of what my kind of goals are. We're particularly interested in transport. So Energy Saving Trust has this vision that everyone will benefit from a net zero future. And sort of being net zero in all the different aspects of life. So whether that's home, at work, transport, covering kind of all objects. But because of my kind of academic background, I guess I've fallen into the transport area. But very interested in solar panels, energy integration, and renewable energy and things like that as well.
So in terms of your day-to-day role, with what you do within Energy Saving Trust, what does that look like in regards to transport and electric vehicles? What would you do on a day-to-day basis to have that input?
Sure. Yeah. So I guess I'm quite it depends on how you look at it. I think I'm quite lucky in my role. My role is quite varied within the transport team. So my kind of main thing is I manage the electric vehicle approved certification scheme for EV dealerships. That involves kind of looking at assessment reports that come in. We have assessors that go out to different retail dealerships like yourselves at Afton Barclay, and they look at kind of how you're selling electric vehicles, what kind of conversations you're having with customers, and what kind of electric vehicle infrastructure and things on site. And really, it's a set of best practice standards that retailers can kind of apply to and get the certification. So that's kind of the majority of my role is overseeing that and reviewing the assessment reports. But also I get to work with other members in the transport team. So we have different teams within the transport team. So we have like a fleet advice team that advises on fleets, whether businesses or local government fleets or any kind of fleet that want to look at decarbonisation. We have a fleet team that collect their data, review that, and provide recommendations of how how they can decarbonise that fleet up to their own net zero targets or national targets. And so I help a bit with the data analysis and review reports on that as well. We also have a local government team that do similar help supporting local authorities with their transition, whether that's buses or lorries or any kind of, anything. So I support them as well.
So it covers quite a wide range of areas. When it comes to the EVA stuff that you guys are working on, so are you seeing that a bigger uptake in that? Are you seeing that growing? Is that something that more and more businesses are becoming interested in?
Yeah, so it's been going since 2019. As I say, I've only been involved with it a couple of years. I think we've had over 550 sites apply and be certified. 3 of those being us. 3 of those being you, yes, of course. Yeah, no, it's really good. And yeah, so numbers change kind of seasonally. You get less numbers when there's other priorities at work, like number plate changes and things. But what we have seen, we kind of started with dealerships only, but we've expanded to auction sites like yourselves and service centres and kind of any other kind of business that deals with EVs and EV retail and servicing and repair can apply to electric vehicle approved.
Awesome. So just a question regarding that. I mean, we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago just regarding one of the aspects of the EVA accreditation, which you guys are involved in, was the PAS 1899, the PAS 1899. So could you just explain just a little bit more about that, what that is and how it relates to what you guys are doing when it comes to transport? And
sure.
The importance of it as well, and what that looks like over the next, something that we really wanted to make sure that we had when we were going through the accreditations. I understand right now it's got a, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not a be all and end all like criteria, but it's a recommendation. So just a little bit about that, because it's an interesting area.
Yeah, sure. So the PAS 899 standard is all about accessibility. So it's a BSI standard about accessible charge points. And we wanted to include it in the electric vehicle approved standards alongside kind of the charge points. So the requirement is that your dealership, your site has electric vehicle charge points on site as part of that kind of showing commitment to EVs and allowing customers to charge the vehicles when they're there. And then the PAS specification was introduced, and we thought that's kind of very natural, kind of aligned specification to add to the EVA standards. As you say, it's not compulsory. It's a best practice kind of standard. So we encourage it, but it's not necessary to pass the certification. What it is really just it outlines, it details how a charge point can be made more accessible. So anything involving the physical nature of the charge point, the height of the charge point, the weight of the cable, the location of the charge point, so it's not behind any maybe curbs or barriers, and then also the digital and interface aspect of it as well, making sure that the screen is visible and there's not much glare or is intuitive to use and easy to use, and it's not necessarily just for disabled consumers, but an accessible charge point benefits everyone as well. So really what I see that as an important step in the charge point kind of area, really just kind of makes charge point infrastructure more accessible generally, and it shouldn't be an addition to make charge points accessible. It shouldn't be an additional thing to have to make them accessible. They should all be made accessible from the start.
I totally agree. I mean, it's to be able to maneuver around your car and be able to get your car on charge. I mean, I've been to charge points where it's difficult for me to get my car on charge. Not just a normal baby, that being someone who's able to maneuver around my car much more easy, a lot easier than someone who may be in a wheelchair or someone who may have difficulties maneuver around their car. You know, that's super important to have it available for everyone, and that those transports to be able to be used by everyone. And there's definitely something we've tried to do at all of our sites. We have chargers at all of our sites where, you know, we've managed to meet those guidelines and people can use them. And I think it's super important for, you know, going forward. Do you believe that will become something that is at the moment where it's not compulsory, they will become a compulsory component?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, really, it should. So what you did with Aston Barclay, I thought was a good approach, where you didn't necessarily have charge points on site already, but getting them installed and as part of your procurement of those charge points, you requested that they complied with PAS 1899, and I think that's a good approach. A lot of the dealerships we assess have charge points installed already and have done for a number of years, which is great. But there was no kind of thought about that accessibility side of things. Of those things, which is so going forward, I think whether it needs to be in procurement of charge points or charge point installers and manufacturers need to be made aware of the standards. I think that'd be a good way to go.
Amazing. And then just on like EV adoption and you know, current trends and stuff like that. Now, from your perspective, what would you say the current trends of the EV market are, and you know, how do you see them impacting the adoption here in the UK?
Yeah, so I think the good thing is that you know, they keep getting cheaper. New models are coming out cheaper, and I think one of the reasons for that is they're coming out with smaller batteries. So, well, not smaller batteries, but not necessarily larger batteries. So there was the Paris Motor show. I had a lot of EVs on this week or last week. And a few of the new models were kind of 40 kilowatt hour, 52 kilowatt hour size batteries, which isn't, you know, they're not going for the biggest size batteries. They're not going for like the luxury kind of high end side of things. That seems to be kind of a sweet spot between enough range and also affordability. And then we're also seeing, well, you'll know, used EV prices are quite affordable now. And in some model equivalents, you know, equivalent to their used petrol or diesel models. So I think that kind of affordability piece is kind of the next stage that we're entering into, where mass market kind of, you know, accessible to more people price wise. I mean, as you said, but the used vehicles is such an important part. And I remember, you know, being a few years back, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, being at Tesla, and that was something people would ask a lot, you know, and say a lot was, well, when these go on the used market, that's when I'll buy one. And, you know, having the EV start to go on the used market and the price coming down, and, you know, those cars being open to the masses, I mean, I think is, you know, as you said, it's highly important. And I believe, I can't remember whether it was Peugeot or one of the major dealerships recently, they announced that no matter what fuel type you pick, it will be the same. So whether you're picking petrol, diesel, or electric, the price of the car is the same. It's the first time we've seen that, and I'm pretty sure it's Peugeot. I might be wrong. First time we've seen that, and I think it's, you know, super, super, super important. And I think we'll probably see that follow. Some of the other dealerships follow that trend as well. But you know, just on the back end of that, you know, from your perspective and what you've seen at the Energy Saving Trust and doing you know, some of the audits and what you're involved in, what would you say the top challenges are for, you know, hindering the adoption, whether it be a challenge for the consumer or for like the dealerships or auction houses, or things that you think are causing blockers for, you know, for people and for businesses? I think it's probably the perception of EVs, the kind of understanding what they are, maybe the fear of change and the, you know, the doubt that comes with that. And EVs are very kind of seen as a different, something different and separate to to a traditional combustion engine car. So it's almost like it's a different product. Whereas really it's just this, it's another car with a different way of powering it. I think I think that's one of the challenges, is that, the technology and as going back to that battery example of not really, the batteries aren't getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They kind of found a sweet spot. The technology is ready, it's there. It doesn't need improving for the needs of the majority of use cases, whether that's as an individual or a business or, the technology is ready, and it's just kind of, I guess, demonstrating to people that's the case. And I think that's where things like EVA, the EVA scheme, come in, where dealerships are kind of showing that they're committed and experts in that area with these vehicles, and they're showing their customers or the public or businesses that these are a solution that works, and they're confident that they can, it gives people confidence to see EVs on your forecourt, chargers on your forecourt, EV advertisements, and then inside having experts that can talk you through the process and understand your lifestyle, and take you through that kind of sales journey of how would this EV meet your lifestyle needs.
It's funny because with EVs you've got people where there are the challenges and they're seeing it as EVs are the future. And we've got 1.2 million of them on the UK roads now, so there's a hell of a lot of these EVs, and you still got those people in that mindset of that, they're the future, not right now. And then you've got the people where EVs is just normal, like for myself, for yourself, and people living among the world of EV, working in it day in, day out, driving one day in, day out. They're normal, and it's become the norm. And then you see Tesla's event with the robo-taxi and what's called the big one. It looked very much like iRobot, actually, with that event. And it's like that for me now, those people, that's the future of EV, and that's what kind of we're looking at. It's just funny to see that some people are still in the mindset of just getting into an EV and driving it day to day. It's the future. Well, actually, once you get into one, it's such a simple process. It is just another fuel type. However, I say that because I'm contradicting myself, because there are some other aspects to it. There's a lot of education. It's not as simple as just another fuel type, even though I just said it was. But does that make sense?
Yeah. No, so the concept is that, but there are changes you need to make to your your approach to using a car. It's not like using a petrol or diesel car. It's not necessarily that approach is any worse. In some cases, it's better, or you're more convenient.
Well, I used to say to people, if I got to 40 miles, if I get to 40 miles in my electric, I start thinking about charging it. When am I going to charge it? And and it's not a stressful process. It's just part of my process, part of the way I function now. Whereas when I used to drive around in my little Ford Fiesta, I actually had a Rover 200 at one point as well, really old car. I'd stick a fiver in it and I'd get 40 miles. And for me, I was winning. At 40 miles, I could go wherever I wanted to go. It's just the mindset change, and it's just a lifestyle change. And it's not as complicated as I feel like sometimes we make out. It's a much more easier process. I don't go off street park it. I can't charge at home. I've been the one for 3 years. I don't find it an issue. Whereas when I was in my petrol, it's like drips and drabs. So I could go and put a little bit in here and there, and that's how I got by it. But now for me, it's just like, no, full charge, go, full charge, go. And that's the kind of the way I work now and the way I live, is the lip drips and drabs don't really work with me anymore.
But you're right. It's part of a process where you can't just expect people to just give them an EV and then them to use it. It is a learning curve, and there's kind of 3 stages to. Well, I've seen there's a model of behavior change where there's 3 stages. There's one where you see the technology around you, so you see the cars with the green flashes on the number plates, and then for a certain amount of time, and then you move on to, I might try that. I might go to a dealership and do a test drive, or I might get in, talk to my neighbor and see what their experience is like and go for a drive in theirs, or something like that. And then there's kind of the 3rd stage where you get in, you get in it for yourself and you start learning it. But that's a learning curve as well, because then you learn how it fits to your lifestyle. So it is a process of learning.
I'd say that's a massive key word, a massive buzzword actually, that I've heard among all of the interviews we've done is people's the word, the word lifestyle. And it's not really something you would ever really hear when purchasing a car in the past. You don't think, I need to purchase a car based on my lifestyle, or, I'm going to buy a car that really suits my lifestyle. It's that wasn't something anyone ever said. Now lifestyle is very much a part of the way, or it should be very much a part of the way you buy an EV, because I've heard people say, I actually heard someone on TikTok saying, a test driver won't say the car, it's not an EV that I would purchase, it doesn't fit my lifestyle. But they're saying all EVs are rubbish. And that's a polite way of saying it. They definitely didn't say it like that. They said all EVs are rubbish. And said, well, you've driven that one EV that doesn't have much range, and you're complaining that you can't get to Scotland. I mean, that wasn't what was actually said, but you're complaining about different stuff. So that can't, that's like going to drive a Lamborghini, going to drive like Peugeot 208 and then saying, well, all petrol cars are rubbish, I'd never get a Lamborghini. They're just two completely different cars. They don't function the same, they don't work the same. It's funny that when speaking to people like yourselves and some of the other guys that are doing this lifestyle, purchase a car that fits your lifestyle rather than a car that looks good, or a car that's, someone said on a previous, said, when have you ever gone into a dealership and said, having glass, petrol car, but you get glass. You've never done it. So it's very different approach. But, in terms of, just on the back of that then, if you had someone come to you, I don't know, whether it be your workplace or someone that said, looking to purchase an EV, what advice would you give to someone who's looking to purchase an EV for maybe the first time?
Yeah. Well, I mean, try and see if there's a local EV approved dealership near you would be the kind of, if you're going to a dealership. But even back from that, again, talk to your neighbours. It's very likely if you don't see EVs driving past, or when you're on the road see them, it's likely you'll have one that's parked on your road or on the opposite, and talk to people that about them. I think that's kind of a good place to start. And then a lot of dealerships offer kind of 48-hour, 24-hour test drives now, where you can take that EV and live with it for a day. And that's a really, really important kind of eye-opening experience to have at that early stage when you're starting to look. Consider used EVs as well. A lot of people, only ever go for a used EV, but if you're looking at new cars, look at the used options, because still, even after many years, they're still very usable. They've still got good range.
Yeah, I mean, even in terms of like the test drives, like they're offering these longer test drives, so people can actually see what it's like to live with it for 24 hours. Like you experience it like your life. Very rarely did someone come back from one of those test drives that I gave out and said, "This is rubbish, I didn't like it," or and any of that. I mean, it's definitely an experience. And I think once you've had one and once you've lived with one, it's almost like, well, why wouldn't you?
And different people have different experiences, which is why it's good to talk to people who live near you. Yeah. So like you said, but I don't have a drive, I don't have access to parking, I don't have a charge point at home, and I live in a fairly rural area where the nearest public charge point is kind of 5 miles away. So when we first got an EV, it was all about kind of the charge points that we had in the nearest town, that's where my partner works. So she would drive, charge, and work, and come back, and that works okay. And then as we got to know the local area and people with EVs in the area we live, they've been very kind to offer us, to charge at their house. So now we very rarely public charge. We walk 5 minutes down the road to my neighbour's house, plug in at their house, and come back. So my experience will be very different to someone with an EV who has a drive, charge point, and can charge at home very conveniently. And it's just it's all about you. You said you didn't have you don't have a driveway either.
No, I don't have a charge point home, and I've not really ever had any issues when it comes to charging. Like I would charge at work or use the public infrastructure, and I've never really had an issue. And I've found it relatively easy. And as you said, talking to people. I mean, such an important thing. Like buying a car in the past, you wouldn't really go and ask people advice. You'd probably go experience a car, buy the car you want. But talking to people and talking to the right people and asking the right questions. Just pointless talking to people about buying an EV who don't have one.
Yeah.
Because they've got these perceptions and they've got these outdated ideas of what an EV is like. Whereas when you talk to someone who's actually living with one, it's really, there's surveys and polls out there. I think, in the 90s, I think it was 90% of people who have an EV would never go back. Those statistics, they really speak for themselves. And talk to the right people. I think that's a great point. Talk to people and ask the right questions. So just then on the back of that, in terms of the world of EV and, what's to come, what would you say is the most exciting thing that you foresee or that you know is coming in the world of EV, whether it comes to technology, infrastructure, the thing you're most excited about? It could be with the Energy Saving Trust or just within this sphere of EV that you think could have a big impact.
Yeah, I think for the individual that has an EV, I think vehicle to grid, vehicle to load is very using your car battery for other things rather than just driving around is a really kind of a key one. I think that's very exciting, especially kind of I guess when I picture my ideal home, it has, solar panels and battery and a car, but you can use your car as a battery and you plug it overnight, but you power your washing machine overnight if you don't need, all the charging your car for the next day. That kind of whole kind of energy, home energy ecosystem, I think is a very exciting area. And then kind of more for businesses and kind of, I think the freight sector is very interesting, particularly in the UK where we're not the biggest country, geographically by size. So a lot of kind of electric solutions could really suit our heavy goods vehicle industry, and already do. We're starting to see 300-mile plus electric lorries on roads doing kind of up and down the country, and I think that's an exciting application of the electric vehicle technology that has kind of grown in the private vehicle market, but then we can now apply those learnings to other heavier industries, and really pushing how far the electric solution can go with those hard, they're termed hard to decarbonize industries. I think that's quite exciting as well.
I think the heavy goods stuff. I mean, that stuff. It's a funny thing to be excited about, but I'm also excited about it. I've got 2 kids, and they love that the car's electric, and they don't really understand the concept of petrol or diesel and going to a petrol station. They don't really understand that because they just think, they pull up their scooter outside the house and they're like, "Oh, I'm just putting this on charge, Daddy." Like, to them, when you park the car, you're just charging it. It's kind of what we're going to. But they now see cars on the road, and I tell them, ones with the green strip, they don't all have it, of course, but ones with the green strip, I'm like, they're the ones that are electric. My 5-year-old son will look at and say, "There's an electric car, Daddy."
Yeah.
And just seeing that come to trucks, I mean, I find that really exciting. Some people probably won't at all, and they think, who cares? But it is an exciting thing.
Yeah.
And the amount of emissions that they give off and stuff like that, they're a big load to the road. It's exciting to see that they're becoming electric. We've seen some of the stuff they're doing in the States. I think AA have started using some of their new, I guess they're classed as heavy goods vehicles with the transporters.
Okay.
This Volvo, there's some really great stuff coming through. So just to kind of wrap up, your final thoughts for the future of transportation and the role of Energy Saving Trust, just what you guys hoping to do over the next 12 months and what you're most excited about with the Energy Saving Trust over the next 12 months.
Yeah, I think it's just really keeping having those conversations. I mean, we get lots of different businesses and of people with fleets coming to us for advice, and they all have kind of different requirements and needs, and really I think that's where that's where the interesting stuff is, because not only are we able to help people, but we can also, we take learnings from that. We learn from everyone's different, people's different scenarios, and we can apply then to future people that come to us, or as part of our advice services and things like that. So and then obviously electric vehicle approved, started targeting dealership groups, kind of more broadly rather than individual dealership sites. So we're kind of really targeting those OEMs and dealership groups that are committed to the EV retail and the future of that. So with the new dealerships and new car brands coming up as well, there's a few Chinese brands coming and have exciting products that it'd be good to kind of keep track of and see what they're doing, and just kind of, it's that gradual growing of knowledge and learning and applying that once. That's kind of it's a interesting and exciting process, really.
It's a real rapid fast changing environment, which is what I love. But listen, Joseph, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for giving us your time and your insights on what you guys are doing down at the Energy Saving Trust. And it's good to speak to you again, and we appreciate it.
And you, no, thank you.
Thank you so much.